everyone. Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danisko, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils. And you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go, Devils!
Marky got with Sharon. He was sharing Sharon's outlook on the topic of disease. Mikey had a facial scar and Bobby was a racist. They were all in love with dying. They were doing it in Texas. Tommy played piano like a kid out in the rain. And then he lost his leg in Dallas. He was dancing with the train. They were all in love with dying. They were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain. I don't mind the sun sometimes.
I really like opening the show with the Butthole Surfers. I really do. So we are the Uncle Puckers. Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony. And what's up, boys? How's everybody tonight?
How you good, man? How's it going?
Good, good. Tony,
Doing a little butthole surfing tonight.
Speaking of the Butthole Surfers, what are some of the worst? And you think about the band names, right, out there, like
right.
Well, that's got to be at the top of some people's list, but maybe
And listen, the Butthole Surfers, their name definitely held them back because they were not a bad band. I mean, they were a lot of debauchery and shit.
I understand why they didn't make it as like a Christian rock band when they first started out that way. It was probably a bad idea. They needed to change if they're going to keep that name.
And their early years weren't easy listening for people who just want basic,
But that was the only. Pepper was the only hit song they had. I don't even know if that was a hit. I mean, radio song. There really wasn't. I don't think they had any other radio hits. But I do like them.
Yeah, they were good, man. I liked a couple of their albums, and that with a band name like that, like there was some really the worst I think is Hootie and the fucking Blowfish. Like that.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
You're saying that as far as bad names?
Bad names. I mean, there's some. I mean, that
Hootie and the Blowfish. What is the worst part of Hootie and the Blowfish? That it's like two things I got to think about. Neither one is interesting, like the Hootie but they're together.
They're tunes.
And there's no Hootie in the band.
What's a Hootie? Is that a human? Is it another species of fish I'm unaware of?
It's an owl.
Hootie and the other fish, like Hootie's a fish too.
I mean that
they were interviewed many years ago in the '90s, and someone asked that very question. So, why did you come up with that name? And they said, well, we went into the list of names. There was only two available. It was that and Garbage. So we took Hootie and the Bluefish. It's kind of like a dig on Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage had maybe a more successsul career Garbage had, though.
Well, I mean,
that's a good one-liner.
Darius Rucker's a huge country star. I mean, that guy is I don't know what the rest of the Blowfish are doing
the rest of his life, people are going to yell Hootie at him forever, and his name was never fucking Hootie.
No, he's a huge country star, man. It's crazy.
I know, but he'll always be Hootie.
Yeah,
like that's like, and he's probably like, I was part of a band named Hootie and the Blowfish. My name was never Hootie.
No, there was never a Hootie
in the metal scene, man. There's some names, dude. Like you got some like Cock and Ball Torture is the name of a band,
right?
Ass Pounder, Anal Cunt. I mean,
are you sure this is not the movies you've been watching lately?
Like, I think the soundtracks are bands.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
The soundtracks are like bands. These movies he's watching.
The soundtrack.
That's not a band. That's just a soundtrack.
But there's some great ones like Nashville Pussy. I don't know if you guys ever heard Nashville Pussy. A great fucking band.
Of course, that was my wedding song.
No, great rock band, man. Great rock band, but from Georgia. But there is some Toad in the Wet Sprocket. There was some gay names like Green Day. Like if you really think of these names themselves, it's like Green Day. I mean, what the Did
they have a meaning behind that? I never found out.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Why was it a Green Day? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's but.
I don't really put Green Day in the list of really stupid band names. I mean, there's a whole lot of
they're kind of dissociated
dumber
words, though. When you think about it, like, do they have a purpose, or are we just throwing words together?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of bands just throw words together,
Absolutely, yeah.
Like,
maybe that period too, right? That little that time period, there was a lot of those.
There was a Blink 182s. What's one of those look like?
Well, it's funny because I was actually just about to bring them up because their name was originally Blink. And, so then when they got the record deal or whatever, they found out that there's another band called Blink, and one of the dudes was just like, Blink 182, like out of nowhere. And that
like when you have to get an email that's like a different account, like I want that email.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be Dan Martin 985. Right. Oh, fuck you, 986, because 985 is already taken. But, yeah.
So
hey, 2-2, guys, right now, the game, listeners, the Stanley Cup is actually playing the first game. Game 1 right now is actually playing, and it's 2-2.
It's nice having hockey back on. I missed it for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it
It's
doesn't
nice.
look like the Panthers slept at all. You know, it looks like they came right to play tonight too. And Vegas
Definitely,
looks
yeah.
good. Aiden Hill made the save. I mean, the last period that was just amazing. I mean, just crazy.
This is going to be a fun series. It really is. I'm looking forward to it. So keep us updated on the game, Tone, if you have it on. So let us know if anything goes on. What is it, the second period now, or is it the third yet?
End of the second now.
Okay, so yeah, as we're rolling, just keep us in the loop. And Tone, did you have something you wanted to talk about?
You know, I was reading something earlier, and I thought I was gonna bring it up to you guys because you know we all go back some years with Devils, and we've all been friends for a long time, been Devil fans. I wanted to get your opinion on actually, let me find it here. I put this to the side. Okay, what was your favorite line combinations through the years? Right, we've had.
I saw you put that up on Twitter. Did nobody respond because nobody listens to us? So you got to talk to us about it.
We didn't send the paychecks out this month, but
It's like, kids, you can do your homework, or we're stuck doing it for you.
yeah. So, but
You know what I'm saying? So help us out.
The ZZ Pop line you had, right? You had that line. You had.
Well, explain who they are to everybody instead of just saying ZZ
So I'm going to go
Pop.
through some
Let
lines
everybody
here. So
know.
back in the 80s, you had like the Verbeek, Mueller, and Aaron Broughton line. But then, more toward our time period, you had the Madden Pandolfo Breland line, the defensive line there, which was good. Langenbrunner, Parisi, Zajac, which was the ZZ Pops line. You had the Egg line, right, which was Elias, Giunta, and Gomez.
Gomez, right? Yeah.
The Crash line, which I think everybody knows that. Peluso, Holy, and McKay.
What about
The
the A
A-line.
line too?
The A-line,
yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
Sakura,
Elias.
Elias, and Arnott.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was your guy? I mean, for me, I was a Crash line guy, which I'm sure is not a surprise. But
They are the first ones that came to my mind, Tony. It was like, the personality, the way they embodied the whole generation of that team, But I think I do remember like when they were scoring at will with like that. I love that A line. That was pretty cool. That was like a high scoring year, and that line, was came in big, and there was like a lot more skill than some of our other lines were.
over 400
I
points
like
they
that.
had the A line together. I mean, it's pretty impressive. A couple.
Yeah,
cups.
so that one is like, when you look at the two of them, oh boy, I don't know. That's a tough call, but they were fun to watch as far as skill wise out there.
I don't know about you guys, but I think that it would be pretty fair to say that it really does only come down to the Crash line and the A line. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I agree.
I mean,
100%.
yeah, but there's a lot of close seconds of fun lines. I don't know, Bob. What do you think?
There are a lot of close seconds of fun lines, but yeah, I mean, right off the bat, the first thing I thought of too, and I think a lot of people our age that are Devils fans would be, is the Crash line. The A line, again, that was so special because we brought this up on the show before. That was in the middle of the Devils being known as nothing but defensive, and they had this line for the better part of 2 seasons that just destroyed the league. It was so much fun to watch. It was so atypical of a Devils line to be like that productive and that offensive, and then still have all the defense.
Should we call it the atypical line? Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely between those two. But yeah, some of the other ones, that Egg line, I kind of forgot about that a little bit. ZZ Pops was fun. I mean,
Definitely.
Parisi definitely had his time in the sun, too, for this team. So, but yeah, Chris has got a good point. I mean, I almost couldn't even think, at least immediately, any other line off the top of my head. It's kind of like
first one that came to your head
I
had-
just can't think of that stuff.
Yeah, it had to be one of those two. Now, also, me on a personal level, and Dan knows this because we've talked about this on other shows, I absolutely fucking despise line names. So
Yes.
for this exercise, I'm willing to be okay. But let's not talk ever again about line names after this.
I think that's why you might like
would you
the
agree,
A
Chris,
line.
that the
That was
Flyers
just a
had a cool
simple.
line?
It was nice and short, right?
It was an A-line. It's
I would
Arnott's
much
Line
rather it
one,
was
too
just-
fancy. Stop. No, line one's too fancy.
I would have
Who do
much
you guys think you
rather
are?
just the Arnott line. That's it.
I agree.
That's it.
Okay,
So-
no, I get you.
think it's
They
the
made
South
some
T-shirt,
goofy
right?
names, dude. They made some goofy names. The
What-
BMW line
I
is maybe
hate
the
it.
most cringe line ever.
I
Cringe
fucking
name.
hate the BMW line.
BMW
Like the
line.
name,
I did not like that.
But as far as this
I don't mean the
exercise
players.
goes-
I just mean the name.
Sure.
Yeah.
This exercise, I would probably have to go. Gun to my head, Crash line, Arnott line. I'm gonna take the Arnott line just for the simple fact of game-winning, Stanley Cup winning goal. It's like everything comes down to that. With the, I talk about it a lot, but when you can do that, something that every kid that's ever laced up skates dreams about, scoring an overtime goal to win the Stanley Cup, and that line did it. And the class,
That's a really good point.
And you look at 2000 and just how classy of a team that was, how classy Larry Robinson was.
Yes,
people don't remember that Peter Sikora got fucking destroyed in that game, and he had to leave. And that A-line was a third of it was gone for the entire second half of the game. I think he was out about 7 minutes into the second period. So
Elias wore his jersey out there at the end.
And then Larry Robinson, you win the Stanley Cup, and Larry Robinson puts Sikora's jersey on. Just classy move. So I'm really, out of all the Devil teams, I always kind of 2000 to me was my favorite team, my favorite cup. So I'm going with the A-line. But as much as I absolutely love the Crash line.
Yeah, the Crash line. So it's kind of neat too, because they did totally embody the way they played and won each line, the different, eras of that team. So like when you look at the Crash line, they strangled Detroit to death at the end of that game. We just watched the clock tick away, and they had nothing coming at us. That's what kind of game it was, versus like the scoring ending it with the A line. So it's kind of funny. Like even those seminal plays kind of made it seem like,
Yeah, and anybody who, even if you didn't like the Devils or you just kind of came across them in '95, that Crash line, just you couldn't help but like them. There's just so much character on that line, and then we've talked about it before.
Just pounded the other opposition,
and how every guy in that line complemented each other. You had McKay, who on the wing, who just had a ton of skill, but was just tough as nails, willing to just. All of them were willing to do anything to score a goal.
So much heart, too. Yeah.
As far as skill goes, Peluso is probably the least of those guys, but he was just all muscle, all heart. Holik was a very, very good player, and we saw that throughout his career, how he moved up and, then ended up signing a huge contract with the Rangers.
He had the biggest size, so I think people were also kind of like surprised at first.
Right.
Like, watch that team develop. No, he's also the one with the hands.
Yeah, and, but they're
great in front of the net. Bobby Holik, just like a tree trunk out there.
Complemented each other really well. So, I mean, for me, the A-line, so that's where I'm going. What do you guys, if you had to pick one?
I'm going to go Crash only because I think that's the first time I really, really appreciated a line that age, besides a legal line. So, yeah.
Bobby?
I'm going to go A line too. Yeah, it's just so iconic. And again, getting that Stanley Cup winning goal, and I like the fact that Ilyas was on that line too. It's just the Crash line did so much, right? But they did so much like in every game, and so did the A line. But they have that defining moment that you can't help but remember. Exactly that goal. I mean, I remember Randy McKay's goal too, of course, when he climbs the wall, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, come on, overtime.
Arnott had such big goals those playoffs. That run. I mean,
it's all true, but I think like the only like real correct answer that's fair with this is like it's a tie. Nobody wants to say that, but the truth is like that team was that line was that team for that era of that team.
Yeah,
and you don't get one cup with the other, you know what I mean? Like that's what was successful breaking through. That was what developed on top of that. The two lines play each other in an imaginary universe. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be
because
fun.
I think the fucking Crash line would put a hurting on the A line as far as their production. But A line was tough as nails against those kind of lines that were built to shut them down. They still tore through those lines. And so I wish we could play these two lines against each other and see what happened. It'd be tough
you look at like this year's Devils, right? And have excuse me, Jack Hughes and who he's playing with on say you have Hughes in the wing or whatever, or centering, and who's he playing with? Usually he's playing with a smaller forward or two smaller forwards. And that was, Elias was a big guy, like tall. He wasn't a huge dude, but he had, was a decent size. Yeah, Sikora was small. Yes. But Arnott was a fucking beast. I mean, Arnott was true power forward.
Yeah, and we got one guy we picked up this year who's kind of being in our Arnott mode, right? When we got Timo Meier, like that's the kind of play that you're kind of looking for, maybe with a little next level skill, even if it comes to fruition. But he had the size and the muscle to go with this play. That's what was great about Arnott, especially that year. He wasn't always that tough on the puck.
No, and if the Devils can lock up Meier, I mean, and we talked about this so much before the trade because we were talking about Timo Meier coming to his team back in December, and it was, at least to me, my understanding as far as like he was coming here to play with Jack Hughes. Like, you had to have, and at that time too, you had a very, the Heischer line was pretty much set, and it was always, Lindy was just popping whoever on with Hughes.
Sure, yeah.
If we can lock up Meyer, I really hope that they give a good amount of time for Hughes and Meyer to play together, because
it was like 2 games, and that was it, and then next thing you know, we were juggling.
There could be magic there. I really do, between those two.
I mean, off and on throughout the time they had together, they put them on here and there. But you're right, to see those develop would be awesome. And, that I think is like the modern day equivalent of maybe like, an Eliash and an Arnott on a line, what they can do,
And both of those guys, though, and you have Arnott and Eliash, and then, they were great and very skilled. And if you take that kind of same model in Hughes and Meyer, but yet you have 2 guys in Hughes and Meyer that are so much more talented.
That's right.
And and I don't want to say
about way more hands. The game is so evolved that these kind of players are, you literally would imagine in your head skating circles around each other. Yeah. Like the guys today are so crazy good, but you'll never be able to really. And the shots are so different too, because now, like, you used to have a line where there was one guy who did not have a shot on that line.
Right.
He was not it was hard to get 3, and then if you had a line where everybody's a really good shooter, that was super rare. Now, like, everybody's a good shooter, and it's a lot of it's equipment, but these players, the accuracy of lifting the puck and wristing it, it's insane. It's insane. It's a much higher level throughout the league.
Let me ask you guys a question just about a guy, one dude that has been kind of battling to get on this team for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm curious, when it comes to this year's preseason, Alex Holtz. Do you guys think that this is it for Alex Holtz, that if he doesn't make the team, that maybe this is a draft bust and we got to move on from him? Or, I mean, do you think that there really is something there and he just needs time to develop? Because it's like, I feel like every summer we all kind of roll right back into the same. This is going to be the year that Holtz makes the team. He's going to be a difference maker, and he just can't figure it out on the NHL level. Do you guys think this might be his last shot with the Devils?
Yes.
I think I think you've alluded to it. This is not the first year we're talking about this, right? So every year it becomes it becomes closer to an answer for that to be the case. He's got to break through. He's got a better opportunity potentially this year, because we know we're going to have some people moving. We might not fill all those spots with who we really want to get preseason, and then hold out for placeholder players to take those spots and do something with them until the trade deadline comes. And as far as what fits in the grand plan of the Devils, who knows? This might be a great thing.
Now, Bobby, you're a big Holtz fan. What do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, there was always not the first year they talked about it, but last year was really the first year that it was really talked about like it's his time. The other years he was still kind of percolating down there. Listen, I think he can survive in this league.
Funny word to use. I'm sorry. He's percolating down there.
Like coffee.
He's like a pot of coffee.
I just put a pot of Holtz on, guys. Just a couple minutes and let it percolate, and then we'll have some nice Holtz. You want some cream in your Holtz?
It's reps.
Bobby wants to give Holtz some cream. Sorry.
Do I have the floor?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Bobby's holding the conch.
I'm just saying, I don't think he's done yet by any means. I think this is obviously a big year for him, but I think he needs the time, and I see a spot for his shot and the way he plays on this team with the right line combination. And sometimes it comes in, he gets moved around frequently, and the Mets, as an example, our number one prospect, Alvarez, catcher, kind of came up, did shit. My own kid was talking to me today as he came up to bat as a pinch hitter, and he's like, "You remember when he sucked just like a few weeks ago?" And you were like, "I'm like, we don't say that." He's like, "No, you said that, Dad. You said he's like the number one prospect in AAA. He gets up here and he sucks." I'm like, "I did say that," and now he's like statistically in the last 30 days one of the best catchers in the league. Like he finally got his stride, and I think Holtz will get his stride. The thing is going to be, does he have room on the team? I don't want to see him as a third line 7-minute guy or fourth. It's not going to work out with him. He needs to get a lot of minutes and be on the power play.
Percolation time.
The idea of Alex Holtz is, when what he can bring in theory is amazing. Like, this is something that this team desperately can use. I want it to work out for him. But you mentioned the minutes. Like, I was, Scotty Gomez, I was listening to a podcast that he was on. He was talking about his last year in Montreal and how he wasn't getting many minutes, and he's like, not for nothing. If you're under 10 minutes a game, you're not in the fucking game. He's like, you're just not. Your legs are friggin' weak. You're nervous every time you're about to get out there, and then
absolutely.
he's like, so you're right. The minutes do mean a lot.
These guys are not used to that. Every level they've played, they've been the guys logging the extra minutes, and now they're all like, wait a second, and that takes a lot of adapting to do, especially on some of those teams, right? Over the years where they would triple shit. I mean, even look at Jack. He spent so much time on the ice. There's some guys that's not getting that ice time.
Right.
It's a different kind of game for them.
I think I literally said this on the show when I first started to come on, when we were talking about Holtz and the possibility of Meyer. I think I literally said, if you can get Meyer up here on Jack Hughes' line, let those two take care of each other, then your third secret weapon there is Holtz sitting there. Who are you going to pay attention to?
He could be their Sikora.
Hughes and Meyer, you got to leave Holtz alone, and he's got a cannon. That's his best asset.
He's a big guy.
That,
he's not
comparing that
through
skill
all the
level
time.
to Sikora. Yeah.
He's a big guy too. I mean, he's not a I like that idea. I hope he does make the team. But I kind of feel like this is it. If he doesn't pull it out this year and become a regular in this lineup, he's going to end up being a casualty.
He would be a good in a package, and he's probably one of those guys who's going to turn it on as soon as he gets to another team. If he gets the right opportunity.
Fresh starts disease.
I'm not saying he's going to blow 50 goals in the net or anything like that, but he's probably going to be a very serviceable, second, third line player.
Yeah, we've seen it happen. It can all these guys are so amazingly talented, even the ones who just don't make it, And even when it seems obvious from here, there's a alternate way that could have gone because there's such a good, skill level to begin with.
Right.
Some of those guys just either take to it or they don't. They don't have that kind of time.
And if the Devils weren't this good this year, he probably sees a lot more time.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Very true.
Probably plays the whole year for all we know. I mean, if they were shitty again.
I have to say, I know we're doing the Devil and we could do that whenever, but Bobby, you are going to get this one. I'm telling you. This one is yours.
This is
it.
This
is it. This is
right.
yours. Okay?
I feel like this is a hint where he said, "This is yours, Bobby." Like it's going to be.
No, it's not.
I'm just going to call out a name right now.
It's not a hint. You guys want to do it?
Well, you talk about doing it just for another
the
little
Devil
bit of time.
is our fun little game that we play.
Somebody might have thought we were doing the news first, and he's an idiot.
Today,
go on, tell me more about it.
Sorry, Dan.
Today,
I will be giving out clues about a former Devil. Tony, Dan, and Bobby will yell out answers. They get 3 incorrect answers before they are eliminated. They can ask me any question, and I can or cannot answer it. It is up to me. So whenever Dan is ready, we'll get rolling, and we will play the Devil You Know.
All right. I really hope this is it.
Shall we play a game?
Buckle up, boys and girls. It is time for the Devil You Know on the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil Podcast.
Best thing you've ever said.
I was just talking out of my ass, Dan.
Yeah.
This former Devil was born February 15th, 1972. I want to get these in decent order.
Did you say where they were born?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Would you like to?
What was the date again, Chris?
1972. February 15th, 1972.
2/15. It's the day after Valentine's Day.
It sure is. This former Devil played a total of 35 professional seasons.
Wow. And does that mean with the Devils only?
Not answering that. No, not with the Devils. This
impossible.
former Devil played for 9 NHL teams throughout his career.
Okay. Like after you went over the evidence, you decided you would answer that. Thank you.
Well, I thought you meant. No, I thought you asked a different question. I thought you said
I
that
thought you said
Spider.
Oh,
No, you fucking mutt. This former Devil won the Hart Trophy 1 time in his career and finished second 4 times. This former Devil was
Former double. Yeah.
Was the
say again.
fifth overall pick in the 1990 NHL entry draft.
Yeah. Okay.
This former Devil was a member of the Triple Gold Club, meaning that he won a Stanley Cup, he won the Ice Hockey World Championships, and he won an Olympic gold medal.
Wow. Till I went in.
It's Stefan Riche.
That's
Wrong.
a good guess. Oh, I love that guess.
It is not Stefan Riche.
Damn it! I thought I probably had that too.
Did
This
you say the
former
home
Devil-
origin of the skater yet? The
No, I
nationality?
did not tell you where he's from. This former Devil played over 2,000 games in his career.
In his NHL career.
No. Professional games, though.
Okay.
I don't
Can
know.
you give us how many NHL games?
I don't have that. This former Devil, let me see. In November of 2013, he tied Gordie Howe's record for game-winning goals with 121. No Googling, Bobby.
Hands on
Hey,
keypad.
it's
All right,
no
hands
Googling,
where we can
Bobby.
see him,
Dave
buddy.
Anderchuk.
Hey,
That's your
just
second wrong one.
at
I
all
was
your
going
meetings-
for you here, and you are now 2 in the hole. One more
I got
incorrect.
to guess.
What was the
guess.
what did he say? Okay, go ahead.
What do
He
you say?
said Dave Andrechuk and Stefan Riche.
Yeah, it's Stefan Riche I got. Thank you, Andrew Chuck.
They're
Sorry.
both wrong. He's the only player in NHL history to play in a Stanley Cup final as a teenager and over the age of 40.
This should be a very easy one.
This should be a very easy question.
This one is insane.
I'm sorry, Tony. Yes, I do have that. He played in 1,733 NHL games. He's had a career 766 goals, 1,154 assists, for a total of 1,921 career NHL points.
I feel like we should be getting this damn thing.
It's a pretty big name. Tell us something about his personality.
I got one more, but I'm afraid to use it yet.
He's a member of the Liberal Conservative Civic Democratic Party.
Okay, you really are telling us. Is this a
You
fact or are you
asked.
just making up?
You
'Cause I
asked.
asked. I didn't know you had that kind of info. That was a little joke. Okay, so he's a member of what party now?
The Liberal Conservative Civic Democratic Party.
Wow, that's not in this country. That's definitely Canada or maybe in
He
Europe.
holds. Here are some of his records. He has
Okay.
the most
Is it mayor?
consecutive 70-point seasons with 15. Most game-winning goals, 135. Most game-winning goals by a right winger. Most points by a right
Does this
winger.
person speak Russian?
He might.
McGill?
It's not
be anyone.
Alexander McGillney.
Yeah, he's too old for that.
He's the most productive European player in NHL history.
Guys, how do we not get this?
I don't know. I really don't know how you guys have not gotten
What
this.
the hell?
Lou Lamoriello made an exception for him to wear the number he wanted as a Devil because at that time Lou was not letting anybody wear a number over 35.
89 or something.
The number that he wore was in honor. Now, if you don't fucking get it after this question, I really don't know what I'm going to do.
We are definitely playing games with this one.
He wore his number in honor of the Prague Spring, which occurred in 1968.
He's a well-known devil. He may have his number in the rafters.
No, he doesn't. You guys didn't fucking get that after the clue I just gave you?
Joe Newendike?
Yeah,
I'm just going to start
Going
guessing.
through the names in my head.
you
is
say
taking-
Joe Newendike?
I'm just going to throw names out there now.
Why did you say Joe Newendike?
Wow, I'm embarrassed for you guys.
I love
I'm
it.
embarrassed for you guys.
Well, we've had so many Russian players with large numbers.
He's not Russian. How about
All
that?
right.
There's the first problem.
Did you
See, I
even
got him
listen
to
to the
admit
last
something.
clue I gave?
Yes.
That he spoke Swedish?
How many? Wait a minute.
Dan,
He played
pay
for 9
attention.
teams?
I want you to I want Dan to use his fucking brain right now.
I don't know.
He wore this number in honor of the Prague Spring, which happened in 1968.
68. His name?
Yager.
Czech.
Thank you,
Republic.
Tony.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I didn't get that.
I didn't hear who.
Jaromir Jagr.
I'm going to say this. I'm disappointed.
68. I mean, you heard me saying it as you were saying it.
What'd you say, Tone?
I'm ashamed of myself in this victory.
This is embarrassing, guys.
That was.
Walk on this one.
One of the greatest players of all time. I think that the clues were all good, especially the one where I told you he was from Czechoslovakia and wore number 68.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ashamed.
When you say Czech Devil, I think of like other players like Elias.
I was going through all
I
the
think
names,
that goes to show that
come up with
a lot of Devil fans never accepted him as like a Devil.
Doesn't matter.
Always
he still
more.
was.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why it's a good guess there because most Devils fans are not going to be. You're going to be thinking of Devils.
Yeah, that's a disappointing loss. Win. I'm going to take it, but yeah, it's bad.
You are going to take it, Tony.
Off the shame.
You did good. But,
I was thinking Russian after the Russian comment. I'm like Konstantinov. No way.
Well, I knew when you said it in honor of what was his name? That president in
Czech Republic.
Yeah, at the time I can't remember his name.
That I don't know. I don't know. But my
remember that
goodness.
was a whole big deal with that.
Whew.
Tony, that's good, man. You're back in the lead.
You could have said like legendary curly mullet of the NHL. That would have been a personality clues. I wasn't feeling the number thing. I was just shutting down when it came to tonight.
I did have some other clues. You know, he played for the 9 NHL teams: Pittsburgh, Washington, New York Rangers, Philadelphia, the Devils, the Stars, the Bruins, the Panthers, and Calgary.
Was it true he used Soul Glow? That's what I always wanted to know.
He had a mullet.
He did have a mullet.
They're very curly. He had a Soul Glow looking mullet, like right out of Coming to America.
Honestly, the 9 teams and the records, we all should have been thinking about him way back then.
I know.
It shouldn't have had to go to Prague in '68.
And I honestly never think of Jaromir Jagr as a Devil.
And that's actually what I was going to say. He seems to be like a forgotten guy. And you talk about a dude who just every team he played for, he was,
I don't know. I just don't own him as a Devil. I almost forget that he was a Devil.
Old by then, and like he was still an awesome teammate. He was an awesome guy. Like I didn't think I would like him at all because I didn't like him his whole career. And he became a Devil. I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like just always the first guy out.
Even his leftover skills were tremendous. Yeah. Like as he was on decline, he was great.
Tony has a 2 in a row streak going.
Already had a hat trick.
That's great.
What's my points now?
I had to actually get him because I started a new.
You actually lost, Tony. I'll have you remember you lost a lot of points.
Yeah, but I'm always.
You were doing good.
He tells me the total. Like say he says.
Yeah, but there was one incident where you got Tony, I want you to acknowledge this. No matter how many points that you might have earned, you've had a lot taken from you.
That's what I'm always. I'll remember that. So I'm gonna bring that up
as we look at the leaderboard, I want you to realize
I should be up higher. I got ripped off.
We'll just never remember. When I made everybody upset by choosing Miles Wood, because that's where I lost my points to.
All right, so you got Miles Wood, you got Sergei Brylin, you got Brian Ralston, you got Slava Fetisov, and you got Jaromir Jagr. Wow. I was really rooting for you on this one, Bobby. I thought you were going to get it.
I know. I was like, this is Bob's to win.
Yeah,
I was trying not to even engage. I was trying to lay down for Bob, guys.
No, you just weren't paying attention at all.
Well, I turned my brain off with the excuse of letting Bob win one.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate
and that's the God's honest truth. So you're welcome, Bob. I'm sorry you didn't seize the opportunity.
Now about that monkey.
Bubbles? What?
The score is still 2-2?
3-2. I was about to tell you guys, it just happened to actually. Vegas just scored.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
You got to break in with news like that, Tony. Don't sit on that.
3-2 on the third.
Yeah, don't sit on that. You jump in. Let us know.
Hey, speaking of the finals... I think only Tony saw the pre-ice festivities, right? You guys didn't happen to see what happened before puck drop?
No, what happened? Tell us.
Well, let's see. It's very Vegas being Vegas, and I wanted your opinions on it, so I guess I'm just going to
Wayne Newton was there?
Yeah.
No?
So let me just tell you something. I was set a scenario for you. So a few years ago when my kid was on like 4 or something, maybe 5, we went into Philly and we saw the Avengers, where the Flyers play. And it was great for what it was, right? For a bunch of kids, and they're doing the Avenger thing, and so over the top with their voices and all that. So Vegas, being Vegas, had to put on quite a show before puck drop. So apparently they have a knight skating around.
I've seen that.
Kind of thing. And then there was this other shadowy, hooded figure, and they were talking about the ultimate power. and there were people around them skating, and they went to this big sword fight.
Turned into like escapades.
Very like Vegas. You're sitting down to eat like a Cornish
kind
hen,
of
and
hot.
you're watching the whole thing.
Tanya Harding showed up.
I'm watching it, and I'm thinking,
Well, sexy show.
I get Vegas has to do their big Vegas thing, but I really was watching this getting like the douche chills, thinking it was way too over the top and awful and kind of kindergarten-y. Tony, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, is it just a show for fun or what?
I've been to Vegas maybe 5 times, and I will say that it's pretty much Vegas. I'm not surprised at all. Anywhere you go, it's pretty much the way it rolls there, so I'm not surprised. It is very flashy. I was watching that too tonight.
I understand the Vegas thing. If I were there in that environment or in another environment, like I get it, and you get into it. From a hockey standpoint, I was just literally watching this going, I can't believe that there's 2 grown men with swords talking about the ultimate power in the universe and striking them down before a Stanley Cup final.
I don't know, man.
It was a bit too much for me.
I get it.
I don't hate people having fun. Do what you got to do, but it was a bit too much.
I immediately thought that that reminds me of the great movie Cable Guy, though. It's when they're doing some medieval times fighting.
Yes.
I don't know, where did they get the name Golden Knight from? Like I really don't know.
That I feel like it's a piss illusion, guys. I really do feel like it's like some kind of weird piss illusion.
You're saying golden shower?
I think it's
kind of it's kind of like that. Maybe it has to do with like there's gold and there are hills, and stuff like mining heritage.
Okay,
gold.
but and it's Vegas and gold is money. I get that, but
Golden Nugget, big casino,
the night,
Vegas history, the Knights, because they could have said the golden vagabond beggars on the streets because Vegas has those too.
I do, and like golden showers.
That would have had golden homeless. That doesn't say. I probably doesn't put asses in the seats, Chris. I would probably say they probably went with Golden Knights because it just evokes this emotion of chivalry. When really it's like golden prostitutes would probably be more accurate.
See, that would be better if they were the
as far
golden
as the indigenous animal. Indigenous, if you're going to have coyotes, they have to have coyotes in Arizona. Then we should have.
Soon they won't.
It's another thing that they do, and again, I just haven't seen any any night broadcasts, so I didn't know they do this. But when they're doing the anthem, and they said, we get to the point where they're saying "proof through the night" that our flag was still there. Mm-hmm. At that moment, they all scream "night." Obviously, K-N-I-T, not N-I-T-E. It was cool. It was different, to kind of interrupt the Stars.
I do have an issue though.
I was behind that one a little bit.
I feel like
guys. I'm sorry. I don't want to lose this. I just popped in my head. You guys know I love the History of English podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do recall that it gave finally an answer. Like, you ever look at the word night and wonder why the fuck is it spelled like that?
Right.
Yeah, like what are those sounds? If you try to sound them out, what does it sound like?
Connect.
Yeah, right, something like that.
Yeah.
So the guy finally revealed why it's spelled like that, because that's exactly how that was fucking said in whatever error that was.
Really?
And we still have those stupid letters. Yes, it's that dumb of an answer. That's why they would say connect. Because this guy's
connects
an
of the round table.
He's pronouncing these things like he's ye old Englishman, like really old Beowulf kind of.
Right.
But what is he saying? It's not even English, and he's very But it connects, he says, and I'm like, well, now I'll never forget that's why that word is so stupid.
It really
and thanks
is.
for the stupid reason and the stupid performance of it. But
I always hear it at our games, at Devil games, whenever they play that lit song.
That became a thing, right? Was that just this year? Or
no, they've been doing this, and I don't know why.
Okay.
And the song I'm talking about that came in through the window last night, and then they stop the song, and the game starts, and the whole place keeps singing that song.
They'll sing the next two bars,
why?
Proving they were once drunk and listened to that song in a bar, and
why is it that song, and why is it? I thought it was only us, and then I heard them do it tonight.
No, they're doing it everywhere.
Another team too. Yeah,
everywhere.
That's right.
But why? What? That song sucked when it came out. Fucking.
It has a memorable refrain, Chris. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, and don't tell me it doesn't. Everybody knows. That's hard. How many people know 2 consecutive lines of a song as the most popular song? You may know all the words to songs you like. But the average idiot, what song does the greatest common denominator know?
That's not
full lines.
Are you telling me that that's the greatest song ever? Then you're telling me that is a song
for idiot masses, for masses who are not
I
after.
think we can find a better song for the idiot masses. I hate that song.
I agree because
We Will Rock You. That's the better song. But we will. It's kind of like cheating because it's 2 full lines of the same fucking 3 words over and over.
But when Chris mentioned the name of that song, the first thing I heard was that guitar riff in the beginning of it. Because there's certain songs in these arenas always... Yeah, it was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I could not stand that song. And I remember a lot of, like, beginning guitar players, I would, you know, when I do the band thing, some of the guys would always come out and do that. It's just such a simple...
Yeah.
2000s pop punk, man.
It's either that or it's the Blink song, the first song that they had.
Small Things, right? Or was it,
no. The first song they had, what the hell? Grown Up? No, not Grown Up. Oh, shit. I can't think of it.
The first one I remember...
Purple Rain. Was it Purple Rain?
Monster Rain. Purple Rain. Purple Rain.
Inagata Devita. It was Inagata Devita.
Fantastic song. Do you know how they got the name Inagata Devita?
Somebody was fucking high, probably. I don't know.
It was close, but the dude, I think he had a speech impediment. So when he was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden, and he was saying Inagata Devita. And that's really bad.
Yeah,
and
they're just picking on somebody with a speech impediment.
Which
that
one?
whole song is just teasing.
Damn It. I think the first song for them was Damn It.
Damn It. Exactly. That's it. And that guitar riff, like always guys are playing it like when they are warming up their guitar, and it's this one.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God! What is that? All right. Here we go.
So,
did they do the entire American Pie soundtrack, or is that just what I feel when I hear them?
Blink?
Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't do the whole thing. They didn't do the whole thing, but they did a lot of it.
That's a very generational divide, guys, between X and millennial, because that was tail end of Generation X people. You will find a love and hate it with that band, I think, and then that was like the band for people like my youngest brother's age, who was a good deal younger.
Maybe about 8 years, 8 years younger.
Cousins that are early 30s,
all the bands wanted to be that band.
My sister was really into them, and there's a big difference between Dude Ranch and then the next one was State of the Enema, maybe I think it was called. And the band has changed. In between there, you just saw like MTV take this band from like where they were kind of playing smaller clubs, even in Florida.
Oh yeah, they got huge.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, got any news for us?
Sure, man. You got a little intro, or we got that? We're kicking up.
Well, we might have something here.
All right, we're gonna do the first time ever. Tony's news.
Coming to you live from the Uncle Pucker's news desk in a basement somewhere in Lithuania. Sports, politics, current events, and entertainment. It's the news of the day with Tony A.
Labas rytas, which is good morning in Lithuania, because it is 6 a.m. here. Okay. Got a couple news stories, and I'll start with Mike Babcock will coach the Blue Jackets, they're saying. This is a rumor that's going on now. They're saying they're waiting for his existing contract to run out with the Leafs, which expires at the end of the month. I'll say the story, and you guys tell us what you think about it.
If my name had cock in it, I'd change it. That's what I'm saying.
I heard he is a cock.
Yeah, he's supposedly a real hard ass. What did he do with Toronto? I didn't know he was involved with the Maple Leafs.
Yeah. The Babcock was, he was coaching with them. Babcock was impossible.
But he was under contract with them up to now?
Yeah, until the end of this month.
Oh. Right. I kind of recall that. Now you say that.
It's not locked in, but they're saying, it's funny because think of Goudreau went to Columbus, right? And now he's going to have Babcock, who's an intense coach. We talk about intense coaches all the time. This guy is one of those dudes,
Good coach. I mean, probably the right coach for that team. If you think about,
that's what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think Columbus needs a hard ass like Babcock?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I personally think they do. I think they played kind of a soft game. I don't know. They went downhill quick from the year before. Their trajectory was going up, and they just fell back quick. So I don't know everything that happened for that, but a guy like that seems like the right answer. Probably short term.
I don't even know what his history is. Taking underachieving teams and turn them around.
He's extremely systemized, which would probably help that team.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
that'd be interesting to watch. So that's not set in stone yet. That's just talk.
No, but that's what they're saying, and they're pretty much saying that they're just waiting for the contract to expire before that happens. And like Bobby said, I can see that if you're going to bring a guy like him in there, it might get the ship a little straighter. What's going on in that area? So. Also, Pittsburgh Penguins have hired former Leafs GM Kyle Dubas.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's been speculated all week as a president of hockey operations.
Because he did such a great job in Toronto.
I mean, why
no, they say, I'll tell you, I've listened to a lot of
Pittsburgh just making bad decisions over and over?
But there's people that say the players really like. We hear. I don't know. If you guys watched some of the Toronto-Tampa series, you saw him like fighting with the fans outside the window. But I heard the other angle is the players really like him, and he's a player kind of guy. Right. But some people think he didn't even want it. There's rumors that he didn't want to be in Toronto anymore, and that's kind of why it went the way it did. So
and if anybody thinks that Sidney Crosby doesn't have a say in who's coming in to coach this team, you're crazy. Yeah. So if Sid wants him, he's there. So all right, Yeah. What else you got
Sidney Crosby, talking about him, I got to say, this guy, he's a great guy. I mean, people hate him, but this dude, I just read a story last week, actually, where a family had went to some restaurant, and he was there. Crosby was with his family, right? And the little kid, I guess the father made it said to the kid, don't go bother him, so the little kid walked over anyway. So Crosby winds up buying their whole – they go to check out at the end of the night. Crosby buys their whole dinner for them, leaves them signatures. I mean, I've already heard from many Penguin fans that – if you're –
I think that could have backfired. Like, what if the guy was like –
very cool guy.
What if he didn't really know who Sidney Crosby was, and he starts taking it on his wife, like, is this your boyfriend buying my family food, and there's this big ugly, like, I don't know, that's Sidney Crosby. He's a famous NHL player. You know this guy? Like, it gets escalates. This is bad,
But guys like Sidney Crosby, we all like, a lot of people, I know, especially early in his career, I was like, this guy, I can't stand him. But some of these guys are...
The diving, right? That was always the thing with him that bothered me.
The human side we don't know about.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I liked everything about his play except for the diving. I thought he was like hard-nosed, vicious when he needed to be, had crazy hands and everything. But he was a bit of a prima donna and always like begging for the calls,
crying.
Yeah, he'd work in the refs, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But
he's one of those dudes like Lemieux and guys like that, or like the Rat, for Boston. It's like if you have him on your team, you love him. If you don't, you
doesn't want Sidney Crosby on their team?
Exactly. But I tell you who we might have some. Patrick Kane's going to be out 4 to 6 months after having resurfacing surgery done. Kane, he played with the Rangers, obviously, and I don't know
what's resurfacing surgery. What does that mean? Resurfacing?
I don't know as much. I don't know exactly what that is, but that's what he's having. He's going to be out 4 to 6 months, and he played 19 games of. He just finished.
That sounds like, boss, I'm going away for a while. Exactly. I got to have resurfacing surgery.
He just finished his
made
contract. He had an 8-year, $84 million contract. He's just wrapped up when he finished with the Rangers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I
wonder if it's like a nonsense procedure, and that's just his way of saying I'm getting out of this contract. So fuck you.
The only thing that I have to say about Patrick Kane being out for 6 weeks and him and the Rangers is just this. Fuck him.
Thank you, Ralph.
That wasn't Ralph. That's Wiggum. Nelson.
Oh, shit. Of course that's Nelson.
Of course it is.
You know what? They do sound kind of similar. It's just that Ralph would sound dumber doing that.
It all started with the devil you know.
The doctor said my nose would stop bleeding if I just kept my finger out of it.
That's Ralph Wiggum. Wait, Ralph Wiggum is. Yeah, no, I thought
that's Ralph.
Well, the Chief. The Chief's. What's the Chief's name? It's Chief Wiggum. I was afraid I was talking about. Right, but Ralph Wiggum is his really slow son.
Yeah, his little, slightly, we can't say it anymore, R-word son.
Yeah, he's different.
What else you got for us?
Neurodivergent. He's neurodivergent.
Outdoors, obviously the Devils, we all remember the last outdoor game, but the Devils will host the Flyers on Saturday, February 17th at MetLife Stadium. And the Islanders will also host the Rangers there on February 18th. The times are not given out yet for that. And
so the day after we play the Flyers, so 2 days in a row at MetLife Stadium.
Probably easiest with the rink, right?
They've had so many back-to-backs. Wouldn't it be awesome if they threw like mini tourneys in? Like if you're going to do that with the ice, make it a 2 or 3 day row where everybody round robins and has like a mini tournament in their schedule. It'd be fucking cool. Because then you'd end up with like the cup, like the Mayor's Cup or some bullshit where they could all get involved. And that's a series literally inside the NHL season. Like a little 3 or 4 way tourney for a metropolitan area. NHL needs to get on this shit.
The Metro Cup.
So speaking of the Cup, it's 4-2 Vegas right now.
That's actually a good idea.
Comment about that. I wanted to ask you guys something. Like when the news first broke that they were going to do the Stadium Series again, we were texting because at first all we heard was that the Rangers were going to play the Islanders.
Right.
We didn't yet know that the Devils were also going to play the Flyers.
Right.
And I wanted to talk about it that night, but we were kind of packed. But what do you think about this in general? If that had been the way it had gone, just it's going to be the Rangers and the Islanders. My initial thought, not being a Devils fan like a boohoo, nobody's looking at us.
Playing in Jersey.
From a marketing perspective,
Right.
Wouldn't you say that the Devils are a more marketable team right now than the Islanders?
Yes.
And that would have made way more sense.
Like young, skilled
just bring
players,
the two
like
New York teams.
marketable, that kind of marketability
I think,
eyeballs on screens.
I think it's a mistake, and I understand. Okay, if you wanted to get those 4 teams in the metropolitan area to play outdoor in the Stadium Series, having the Islanders and the Flyers, like nobody really gives a shit about that. It should have been Devils. Rangers. That's what it should, especially after the first round of the playoffs. You do a big outdoor game, split the crowd. It would be amazing.
Well, let's face
instead,
this. What you're saying is like what exactly it came down to is like if it's between the Devils, the Flyers, the Rangers. Even if the better team is the Devils, there's still going to be more eyeballs for screens for the other two teams. Like when you look at this from a marketing standpoint, even though we're like, wait, these players are great. Don't forget that to some extent. If they think that they got a New York or Philadelphia market when they pair New York and Philadelphia, or the two biggest shares TV-wise happen to be Long Island, maybe, and all of that part, and the Rangers. Like as a television draw, the Devils are always going to be working against, behind the 8 ball and have to be twice as interesting. But why would you put the
two New York teams together? You're taking that one area and you're putting them together. Now you want to put, if you're saying that the two weaker teams out of those 4, as far as eyeballs or whatever, would be the Flyers and the Devils, and the Flyers have a huge fan base and everything. I mean, they have all of, Eastern Pennsylvania.
I'm saying that like there's a clear fourth place
in Southwest Jersey.
As far as the fans tuning in, there's a clear fourth place. It almost doesn't matter like what the matchup is for 1-2, as long as the Devils 4 and that 3-4. If you're actually looking at eyeballs,
I think if you
that's what I'm saying. Like that's a cold hard like number of fan eyeballs thing we got.
I think if you polled fans, those 4 teams, and what 2 teams would you want to see play? I bet you that the Devils
if
would
people are going to homer up, dude, there's more
out of the
fans.
area, right?
I'm saying if you out of the area, NHL fans throughout the country, and you said here's the Islanders, the Rangers, the Flyers, and the Devils. You can pick 2 of these teams to play in an outdoor stadium series. I bet it would be people would pick the Devils and the Rangers.
I think that's very possible when you look at it that area. But as far as fans who want to relive that, I think the interest goes way down, like compared to where we are. When it like you're overstating it, and I feel like they're more likely to take that national bias. Like there's some national bias against certain teams, and the Devils is kind of one of them. And there always has been. The least ESPN time and everything else. So when they look at the national games, the people who put these games together are not the same people that you and I would agree are the fans who would say who has the better hockey. They're looking at just dumb, like more eyeballs, and
but I will guarantee that the Devils. Not guarantee. I will say that I believe the Devils will have double the amount of games in national primetime television games next season than they did this season.
I think
NHL
right. A great winning percentage. They have to finally wake up.
The NHL, they love their individuals. The teams are great and everything, but they love their individuals. And Jack Hughes is a star. The NHL knows that. They want to make him a star.
Storyline.
What, Bobby?
Right.
He does Chipotle commercials. The guy's all over. By being marketable.
It almost sounds like a joke, but that's the biggest endorsement we've had for a very long time.
He does great clips too. The hair, him and Calvin.
Right. Now you're just watering down my argument, but okay.
Tony,
I get what you're saying. Though,
Yeah. Speaking of the Stanley Cup, it is 2 things. It's 4-2 right now. Vegas with 4 minutes left. Stone just scored his 7th unassisted. But speaking of Vegas, the Larry Flint Hustler Club has given them an incentive to win the cup. Free lap dances. The Clint Commander has given them free lap dances if they win the cup. They will receive. So
okay, so this is if they win the cup, not as of now.
Now wait, you said not. You didn't say Larry Flint himself is going to give these lap dances.
Larry Flint can't give anyone a lap dance. He's in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
That would hurt.
Get lap dances.
But they're gonna they're gonna like Mark Stone's gonna sit on. He's gonna give Larry Flint a lap dance, and then they're just gonna roll his fat ass around.
Okay, so flip it around. Yeah.
It's a good idea though that they're doing it if they win the cup, because if they do it like now, I think that could be distracting. Like we would have won the Stanley Cup, but Mark Stone's banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. That kind of shit.
That's right, Ace.
You guys remember when the Devils, when they lost the cup and they went out to, they all got TMZ, got them all at the nightclub?
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, you got to look that up on YouTube. Yeah, they all got. It was a big thing. Like they had Brodeur, I think it was Brodeur, Cam, and all them. They were right after the game. They just got eliminated. So they still went out that night, and TMZ showed up at the thing, and it's all you can check it out on YouTube.
Like if you're a 21,
kind of like devil harassment. Yeah.
If you're a 21, 22-year-old kid, like what greater incentive to win the cup than just free lap dances forever? You know, like that's all these kids like living in Vegas.
Though, dude, it's like, come on, like these guys are all millionaires.
Yeah,
they didn't. And not only that, like they all pull like supermodels like all the time
Trust
at parties.
Me, you go to
these guys are the last people who need to win free lap dances.
Bro,
you know, they should be giving this to like a chess club. These poor bastards, they don't have a fucking shot.
I get your
this
point.
This is a pro hockey player.
Professional athletes
with the ladies. For
professional athletes love strip clubs. Are you kidding me? That's all these guys do. They love going to titty bars.
Even if they do, like the amount of money they're saving is inconsequential to their careers. Like it's not. It's like
but it's just
wasted on them.
Look,
it's wasted.
You might not eat, fucking Starbucks. You might not drink Starbucks, right? You might be a person that just doesn't. But when your birthday comes around, you get that little email that says, "Happy birthday, a free coffee." You go for the fucking free coffee because it's your birthday, and you go. So I get free lap dances, and how many dudes are walking in going, No, I play for the Knights. I swear, I play for the Knights. You're 5'0", you weigh 112 pounds, and your glasses are as thick as Coke bottles. You don't play. No, I swear I play. Yeah, I want free lap dances all night.
Let me tell you, they missed an opportunity. If the prostitute workers who funded this ad, Larry Clint's clubs. Didn't you start with Larry Clint?
He said Larry.
Got me doing
he said Larry Clint, and then I said Larry Clint.
And I'm thinking Clint Eastwood. No,
right.
But like, don't you think that like they should have done something much more popular, which is every Golden Knights fan will get a free if they win the Stanley Cup. Now you would have had the same amount of news, and guess what? You're a hero to the people who are actually going to frequent your fucking business because it's sure hell ain't going to be that team.
I think the dancers might have something to say about that. Every Golden Knight fan, just wear a Golden Knight jersey to the Hustler Club, and you get free dot there.
You're saying it's like they have standards, and they don't want to like give any kind of business.
Animals.
Outside the club, you have like 100 dudes or thousands of dudes in night jerseys and sweatpants waiting to get their lap dance.
Right, the sweatpants.
Like any other night,
boners just waiting to freaking go get a lap dance.
How is that different from what they do for a living? Wait, you're making it sound like somehow it's going to like send them a worse clientele. Are you for real?
I'm just saying that.
Have you been?
20-something guys on a hockey team as opposed to an entire state's worth of perverts.
You're making this sound like somebody's pulling the world's longest train. And I'm not even talking. These are lap dances, Chris, don't have to be given in one session, like one guy after the other, if that's what you think's going on.
These lap
dances could be like, a promotion.
But how long is this promotion going on for? If they win the cup, is this they get them forever?
No, I think it's just a one time, right?
When you say lifetime, like
I have my lifetime lap dance club. My lifetime lap dance club.
The story was for lifetime.
The
story was for lifetime.
It was, right?
There's one way out of this. They
get a lap dance punch
You have
card.
to kill all those players. And within a short amount of time, you kill all those players off. You hire some kind of assassin in some kind of weird Columbo episode.
But you can't
and
do
you knock off the players one by one.
What are you talking about?
Well, that's the only way you could possibly fund to you're saying that would be way too much money, right?
Well, no, I was just asking. I mean, I was just saying. Is it lifetime or is it one lap dance? That's all.
They said lifetime in the article.
Okay. So
yeah. See, and I agree with Chris. You couldn't give it to the fans because you would have. You think about this. You would have dudes with different outfits around the corner. You would have them with
too many guys.
Crazy.
Is that what you're saying? It's too many guys.
Different pairs of sweatpants. With
you have any idea? There would just be poor strippers everywhere in Las Vegas, and that's one thing. That's one thing you don't see.
Dances. Yeah,
it's one thing you don't see. The strippers in Las Vegas
might start a fire with how fast
more money
they do lap
than God. So you got anything else for us, Stone?
Chris would be in line like I picked you guys. I picked the Knights.
I swear, I'm taking you guys since day one. You guys were my pick.
But here's the other thing: do you think Florida will let them get away with this? Because Florida is known as the land of the teeth challenge strippers. They have the highest number of strippers and the lowest percentage of teeth of any state when it comes to being strippers.
Good point.
Florida, I think they have too much state pride to not offer some kind of counteroffer to their own players. Matthew Tkachuk wants to spend any time there. and do that.
I think so. What kind of cool thing could Florida do? Just more lap dances, or can they up the ante a little bit? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. What are they going to do? Like, we'll bring the pole to you, kind of thing, where they just show up on demand, and they just like you pop. Like, send me a stripper right now, and shows up with a pole.
That would be great.
You don't even have to leave home.
No,
that could.
Okay,
that's the only way they can improve on that offer.
That's how you do it. Yep, you get the stripper. We come to you.
Yeah,
in Florida.
I think we just invented a new business, but it's probably going to go down in flames.
Yeah. Nobody has prostitutes ever coming in our
first
house.
Night. Yeah, first night.
What are we talking about?
I didn't know she was doing it. She was just a dancer. Why am I going? I'm not a pimp.
But I won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
All right. It's anything else, Tone?
I got one more for you, Chris. I pulled this out.
For me?
There's nothing more depressing than a strip bar in the daytime, except for professional wrestling. Roman Reigns received the WWE Championship belt, surpassing 1,000 days as a champion. I thought of Chris when I saw this story. I had to add it.
The tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. That guy no one's going to beat him. No one. They're not taking that belt off of him. He's too
especially the
popular.
Florida Panthers tonight.
Unless somebody writes it in differently, right?
No, I'm saying they're not taking it off of him. I didn't say nobody's going to beat him as far. Of course
he has to sleep. We can take it off him when he's sleeping.
The company is not taking that belt off of Roman Reigns. He's.
They have ways.
Let me tell you something. That story. I love what the WWE is doing with that whole storyline with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. It is a ton of fun. And yes, I know nobody else here gives a shit about professional wrestling, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it is a lot of fun.
I do have a question for you, Chris, though, because you would know that.
I'd like to learn.
Bret the Hitman Hart, what happened with him? There was some documentary, wasn't that he got fucked over by McMahon? Is this a...
You seriously don't know about the Montreal Screwjob?
I really only know a little bit.
I've heard this phrase, Montreal Screwjob, but I don't remember what the story's about.
So back in maybe 1992, Bret Hart was the WWF at the time champion. He was leaving to go to WCW. So there was a pay-per-view at Montreal. I believe it was Survivor Series. And if I'm not getting all the fucking details correct, I apologize. But he had a main event match against Shawn Michaels. Well, Bret, of course, is Canadian, and he's from up there. So when Vince told him, all right, the main event, you're going to drop the title to Shawn, Bret didn't want to do it. Bret said, I don't want to drop the title in front of my home fans. I don't want to do it here in Montreal. Now, first of all, that is a big no-no in professional wrestling, okay? It's a fucking make-believe friggin' championship belt.
He broke kayfabe, right? He broke kayfabe.
He broke kayfabe. And he decided that no, he said, I'll come tomorrow to Raw. I'll drop it to him on a main event on Raw on Monday night because it wasn't in Canada, but I'm not doing it tonight. So... Vince was pissed, and Vince was also worried because his contract had ended that night at midnight. So like an hour or two after that pay-per-view had ended, he would have been a free agent. He could have literally walked into WCW with Vince's championship belt. Vince didn't want that to happen. So they agreed to
that would actually work? He leaves and he takes the belt with him?
Yeah, it's happened. Alundra Blaze at the time was the WWF Women's Champion. She was the Women's Champion. She left to go to WCW with the Women's Championship belt, and her first thing she did when she walked out was take the belt and drop it in the garbage can and walk away.
But are these belts more like titles, Chris? Like the belt itself, isn't it just like...
They have to buy one from Walmart.
Do we live in a world of magic where this belt actually has the belt itself is magical? Like,
I don't know what you're saying.
Like,
let me finish. Let me just finish the Montreal Screwjob story.
Tell me about that.
Before you fucking backtrack. So Vince said they all agreed. Okay, we'll do some like schmaz fucked up ending, and then next night you'll drop the belt. Now on the side, Vince talked to the referees. Shawn Michaels had said for the longest time that he didn't know anything about this, but it turns out later that he did. So the way the finish of the match was supposed to go was that Shawn Michaels was supposed to put Bret Hart into the sharpshooter, which was Bret Hart's finishing move at the time. Bret was supposed to, get out of it, get to the ropes or whatever, and then they were going to have some kind of wacky ending. Well, when Shawn put Bret into... Now, Vince came down to the ring at the time, and as soon as Bret was in the sharpshooter, he called for the bell. And they rang the bell, said that Brett had tapped out. He didn't. And it was all like, he's basically
Setup,
had no
giant
clue.
Setup.
It was a setup. He didn't know what the fuck was going on.
This is like Macbeth, dude. This is some fucked up drama.
Yeah, so Shawn Michaels grabs the belt and he runs away. Bret Hart is livid, so he actually spits in Vince McMahon's face.
All this shit is now real. How many people realize that?
Now it's
How many
real.
people real?
A lot of
nobody
people,
knows that, right?
There's a lot of shit I heard.
Do fans notice that it's real there?
Yeah,
wow.
They knew about it then.
Okay.
I mean, he had it at that point. They were like, something's not right here because Shawn Michaels grabs the belt, runs up the ramp. He gets spit on, then he starts just wrecking the whole fucking place and everything. When he went back into the locker room, he was with all his boys. Now, Bret had his little posse, Jim Neidhart, his brother Owen Hart, British Bulldog, all those guys. They were all in Bret's locker room. And Vince came in to just kind of try and just let him know what the fucking deal was, why he did what he did. And Bret knocked him the fuck out. One punch, knocked him out, grabbed his shit and left. And Bret Hart was persona non grata in the WWE for 20, 25 years or however long it was, and they made amends or whatever, but that's what happened with Bret. And basically because Bret had a hard time, and I love Bret Hart, he was an amazing wrestler, but he had a hard time sometimes, separating the reality of what he did and the fact that this is all work, dude. So if somebody said wins and losses in wrestling doesn't matter. If somebody says they tell you you're going to win a belt, well, that means you're at the top of the company.
But
that means
Chris,
the company
this is
believes in you. But, but when you just drop it, like he should have just been like, okay, I'll drop the belt. Like it's no big deal. Just because you were in front of your hometown fans, like who gives a shit? They love you, whether or not you win a pretend belt or pretend championship or not. But what were you going to say, Dan? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, there's so much good stuff in that story. I mean, that's amazing. I don't know. I mean, it seems crazy, that the business could be won or lost that way, where like that kind of con job can. And that's exactly what it was. Like that. It was. It's pretty amazing. It's kind of incredible.
Those wrestlers, though, you got to give them credit because it is like, I mean, I don't watch. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, Shawn Michaels. I remember the Rockers when I was a kid. It was him.
Yeah, sure.
Marty Jannetty. Yeah, I remember that when I was a kid and stuff. But they're hella athletes, man. I mean, these guys. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. I was really surprised when I hear some people tell me like there's a lot of stuff that does go on behind the scenes of nastiness, but
a lot of politics.
Yeah, a lot
of politics.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Macbeth. Like it's all like very high. Like those people are crazy. Like they're actors, and I think like that one thing that would have pissed me off if I was in his shoes is that in order for that con job to work, everybody that you've been an actor with, all these shows where you guys all were reading the same script, those guys that night were reading a different script.
That's right.
And
they fucked you.
You got conned. Like these were your brothers. You guys were all in the show together, and they decided tonight we fucking put the knives in, dude. And that's pretty amazing that these guys you worked with.
And to make matters worse, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart legitimately hated each other. They did not like each other.
There was that. In real life?
Yes, there was a lot of professional jealousy between the two. They did not like each other. They didn't get along. Bret was a stiff ass. Like he was, an amazing wrestler. Would work with anybody, make anybody look like a fucking $1 million. Same thing with Shawn Michaels. I believe
his brother died. His brother fell off the roof. Right?
Yeah, and that was another thing too. Like he had already been gone in WCW at the time, maybe even retired when Owen died, and then he blamed WWE for all that shit. And there was a lot of bad blood between the Hart family and the WWE, but. Like back in the day, when like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that, like Hulk Hogan was not a good wrestler. He was not and you watched a lot of those matches and it just looks like two fucking big dudes pretending to beat each other up.
He has no real gimmick. When you think about Hulk Hogan, he had no real personality. He was like the default, like if you were going to have a video game wrestler, and you're going to design one, it would look like Hulk Hogan. It was just a basic motherfucker.
But in the 1980s,
he had no shtick with it.
But in the 1980s, nobody had seen a guy like that. Nobody had seen this big ass dude. He was just coming off doing the Rocky III with Sylvester Stallone, and the whole eat your vitamins, say your prayers, all that stuff. And little kids loved it. I mean, he was the biggest friggin' star in.
He did like an '80s Captain America persona.
Yes,
when you
exactly.
I was in the Savage. I liked Macho Man. I couldn't.
He was my favorite
as a kid. kid, when I was little, I couldn't stand Hulk Hogan.
I hated Hulk Hogan, and I loved Randy Macho Man.
He was
Savage.
kind of vanilla. He was kind of Superman. He was kind of like,
And that's the thing. He was Superman. So you watch. Here's the thing with Hulk Hogan. If you watch one Hulk Hogan match, you've seen every Hulk Hogan match.
Oh,
There's
athletically,
nothing,
what has he got too? Is he?
Yeah, and even in his prime, he didn't have.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But nowadays, like wrestlers have now gotten. They're not all these giant jack dudes. They're guys that are smaller, and it's gotten to the point like these guys are so good now. They're not
technical
just
aerial shit. Like,
and they are literally beating the living shit out of each other. I mean, they really are. And
modern
you want
gladiators way more.
Yeah.
It's like, UFC has definitely had an influence. Like UFC stuff.
Who's the biggest guy now, Chris? Who is the guy now? Like
Roman Reigns in WWE. I mean, Roman Reigns is ridiculous. Seth Rollins in WWE. If you go to AEW, you got Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, MJF is there. He's a fantastic heel. CM Punk is coming back. So
I feel like I've never heard these names. That's how far out of it I've been.
Yeah, I mean it's
I haven't tuned in forever.
AEW is really good. I really enjoy watching that. But Bobby and I used to watch all the pay-per-views.
Like when I was a kid, it was the Road Warriors. I loved that. What was that? Was that like
that was WWF at the time? Hawk and Animal.
Yeah, Hawk and Animal.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Came out with fucking football shoulder pads on, and somebody was like, "Paint your face and put some spikes on them." Yeah, that was it. But Hawk and Animal were great. I mean, back when we were kids, we had them. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I was a huge fan of Ricky.
So, Chris, did he really get hurt against Savage? You remember when I was a kid, the neck fight when he fell?
Did he really get hurt? No.
Was he really hurt?
We're the best villain wrestlers.
No,
so.
That was the build up to WrestleMania 3. We could talk about that on the next show if you want. But no, Randy Savage took the ring bell and he jumped off the top rope and put it to and hit. Steamboat in the throat. So the whole thing was that Steamboat couldn't talk, and he had to get surgery on his throat, and all to set up a WrestleMania 3 match for the Intercontinental Championship.
I remember that. That's amazing.
A long time ago, wasn't it, man?
Here's the thing with professional wrestling. It's
Ricky
when you're
the Dragon Steamboat.
When you're wondering if it's real, like, is this real? Are they doing it? It's a work? Is this a shoot? Then they're doing a good job. 99% of the time, it's a fucking work. So
isn't Ricky the Dragon Steamboat now some like perverted sexual term?
No.
Like, they have all those
his name?
Yeah. Like
I don't know.
Steamer.
I mean, if it's not, I could see how it would be.
Cleveland steamer.
I could imagine. Yeah, it's right in along those lines.
Dragon Steamboat or something like that.
A Cleveland Steamboat.
Ricky, Yeah. Richard, another name for Richard, Ricky Dick,
Yeah.
I used to like Jake the Snake Roberts. I used to like too. He had that snake in the bag. Was cool when I was a kid.
What was the name of his snake? And then I think we're gonna wrap it up because I got to go eat dinner still. Bobby, what was the name of Jake's snake?
Satan.
You're close. You are actually close, Dan.
Lucifer.
No.
Nicodemus.
Damien.
Nicodemus. I love it.
I think it's Secret of Nim. I don't know.
That's awesome.
His name was Damien.
Damien. I knew it was some kind of hellish name. How did I miss Damien? I was so close. Can you get even closer than, Damn it.
Number 86 played for Czech. That's for one of those nights.
68.
Yeah.
68, yeah. See?
I honestly knew it, but not till the end. I went
Larry
back and
Clint.
Well, I kept thinking he was Russian. And then when you told me he wasn't, I'm like, what?
The Russian thing got me.
I thought once I said Prague, you would have at least gotten...
Yeah, but the Russians came through Prague, and like if somebody who was supportive of Prague in '68 might have been a Russian dissident, but that really doesn't make sense. But I don't know. I had Russians
I think you
on my
overthought
mind,
it, dude.
Well, when you said all those top scorers too, like I mean, look at those records.
There's no excuse for you guys not getting Yarmir Yager.
I agree. It was good.
There's no excuse.
I agree.
No, I stand by my excuse. I have a very good excuse. I am not sorry that I didn't get it because I'm going to tell you the truth, and you might disagree, but I think most Devil fans will agree with me. I don't consider Yarmir Yager a former Devil. I know he was, but when I think of him, that's how nice it fell off my radar.
At some point, with all those fucking clues and all those records, you had to think, who the hell was on this team that was that good, you know?
Yeah.
When you mentioned the games played, I was like, how do I know? When you said games played, it kind of threw me off. Like, oh my God, we should know this on the first fucking, or the first three.
If you would have said, like, who was Mario Lemieux to tell you this?
Yeah, I didn't want to bring up fucking
I would have done that right
away. You guys
away.
would have gotten in. I thought you might have even gotten it when I said the guy to play in the Stanley Cup Finals as a teenager.
Well, the Gordie
and
Howe
over the age
thing
of
is
40.
where I should have got it. The Gordie Howe thing.
That's illusion.
Right.
Or you could have said like his number is 2 more than
I had
his
Dougie Gilmore on my
mate.
tongue halfway through, and then you said right wing, and I was like, oh crap! And
Yeah.
from there, I just was all blank after that because I was just convinced it was going Gilmore.
Did you ever say Czech? I think I asked nationality. You didn't say
I
Czech,
didn't
did
say
you?
no. The first
That
Czech
would have
clue-
helped me a lot.
Yeah, that would have been
The first Czech
That would've
clue was
definitely-
the Prague Spring. So
Even if you know what, he's not my first Czech I think of though. When I think of the Devils, of course that's going to be fucking Elias.
right.
You know, so I might not have got it immediately. But if you would have said Czech, I think I would have got it.
Well, Tony got it 2 in a row. And on that note, we are going to wrap it up for this shit show that was the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil podcast tonight, which was a lot of
It's
fun
over
to do.
too, by the way, guys. 5-2, I believe the final.
5-2,
Wow.
game
Nice
1 in the books. Vegas Golden Knights up 1-0 against the Florida Panthers. 3 more wins to their first ever Stanley Cup. It's going to be fun
How's
to watch.
this with the Panthers?
Lap
Did they have-
dances
what's
for
their
everybody.
first? What's the Panthers' record as far as first game in the series won and lost? Anybody recall off the top of their head?
Yeah, they played in 1996. Was the only other time they were in the finals.
No. I mean this run, like the first
this
game.
run. They lost the first game to Boston. They
Yeah,
I
they
think
did,
they
didn't they?
beat the Toronto in game 1, and they beat Carolina in game 1.
Okay.
And they were on an 8-game away winning streak too. 8-game away winning streak. Yeah.
And as far as right now, the Florida Panthers as a franchise have played 5 Stanley Cup final games in their franchise history, and they have yet to win one.
That's right.
You know,
There you go.
guys, do you think this game has illustrated the power of strippers?
I think so. I mean,
It's like
I
magic
think not
almost,
only
right?
that, I think that it does show the
Power
power
of the lap dance.
Yeah, the power of the lap dance as far as Vegas won.
Yeah,
Vegas
it's like
wants
witchcraft.
does
It's like
Vegas
witchcraft.
want to win the cup, or do they want to
Yeah.
win free lap dances? Like it's really it's 6.5. That whole thing. So I really
amazing.
think that unless Florida does something, this thing is over in 3 more games. I mean, it really is.
And you got to say, this
It's the
week we
power
covered a
of
lot
the
of
lap dance.
Yeah,
kicking animals, lap dances, buttholes. We've had a lot of. It's been a productive week of.
It's a highly scientific show.
I'm gonna go eat my dinner now. So thank you
enjoy.
guys for checking us out and listening to us. Drop us a line, unclepuckers@gmail.com, or DM us or whatever on Twitter. Please check us out on wherever you get your podcasts: Amazon, Apple, Spotify. Like us. Give us 5 stars. Really helps to promote this podcast, get it out there, because not for nothing, guys, it's a little difficult in the off season to promote a Devils podcast. So we need the fans here.
Yeah, make it your job. Help us out.
Exactly. We don't have time for
We're
this
lacking
shit.
motivation. To be honest
God
with you,
damn!
it's
This
not
is
even the
what
time.
this
It's,
is what
you
social
know, we're
media
all
is for.
Going through
And,
those doldrums together, and we got to hang together.
That's it.
There's
So
no hockey.
Chris, Dan,
Yeah.
Bobby, and Tony, we are the Uncle Puckers. We will see you when we see you.
Puck is out.
Adios.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!